Ciao a tutti e benvenuti al Tavolo Italiano. Today we'll be talking about the Italian Double Object Pronouns. Before we get started though, a few quick footnotes. This lesson assumes that you're familiar with and know how to use indirect and direct object pronouns separately or individually. If you do not, I would strongly encourage you to first go through those two lessons. Not only are they really quite essential for getting through this one, but it'll make this one much more easier to understand. In addition, this is by no means a comprehensive study on the Italian double object pronoun, but it is definitely a very good start. More information is available, as always, at tavoloitaliano.com, where all the information is always free. As with all aspects of Italian grammar, the best way to learn and remember these rules after studying them is to start using them. So having said that, pronto? Great. Let's get started. Okay, what is a double object pronoun? Simply put, for sentences using both direct and indirect object pronouns, a double object pronoun is simply the direct and indirect object pronouns put together. Sometimes they combine to make one word. At other times, they follow each other, one after the other. They can be placed either before several of the verb forms and or actually attached to the end of others. Now, in fact, the double object pronoun by nature is actually optional. Number one, you may not replace both objects with pronouns. And number two, you do not have to put them together. For example, you could use the weak form of a direct object pronoun, but the strong form of an indirect object pronoun. Per esempio, lo dai a lei, give it to her. Or more literally, it, you give to her. It, or in this case, lo, being the direct object pronouns at the beginning of the sentence, because it's the weak form, lo dai a lei. And her, lei, in this case, alle, because you have the preposition with the strong form of the indirect object pronoun, which is at the end of the sentence. This we've already learned how to do. This can be accomplished with what we've already learned from our studies independently on direct and indirect object pronouns. Now let's look at how to put them together and how to use them in a sentence. First, we need to learn how to combine the two object pronouns. Double object pronouns are actually quite easy to construct. Here's a few things to keep in mind. 1. The indirect object pronoun always comes first. 2. Me, ti, chi, vi indirect object pronouns actually become me, te, che, be when they're immediately followed by a direct object pronoun. This is in order for the speech to be able to flow a little bit better. 3. The 4 indirect object pronouns that I just mentioned are not connected directly to the direct object pronoun except when everything is connected together at the end of a verb. And 4, li becomes lie, and it is always attached directly to the indirect object pronoun, and it's used for he, she, and them. Okay, this chart shows a construction of object pronouns. So for instance, we have me and then space, and then you place either lo or la or li or le. So you'll notice it's not connected, as we said on a previous page, and instead of being me, the indirect object pronoun is me, because it's going to be followed by one of these direct object pronouns. The same holds true of te, che, and ve. Now if you look at the third person singular, it's lielo. So li became lie, and then we attach the lo, or the la, or the li, or the le directly to it. So we have lielo, liela, lieli, liele. Now how do these translate? Okay, well if I had me, lo, it would be to me or for me, and the lo would be either him or it. If I had che la, che would be to or for us, and la would be her or it. If I had li, then, lié, li, all one word. The lié is going to be him, her, or them, to him, her, or them, or for him, her, or them. And the li is them, the direct object. Now, how do we use the Italian double object pronoun? Double object pronoun is usually found in one of three places. Just before the verb form, attached to the end of an infinitive verb, and at the end of a conjugated verb in certain instances. The placement really is like the weak form of the direct object pronoun. We'll start by looking at appearing just before the verb, but first, let's look at how you get to using double object pronouns from no object pronouns at all. Okay, manderò la lettera a Pietro. I will send the letter to Peter. As we look at this sentence, the letter is the direct object and Peter is the indirect. So, manderò la lettera, direct object, a Pietro, indirect object. Let's start by taking the direct object and replacing it with a direct object pronoun. La manderò a Pietro. I will send it to Peter. Okay, we replace the word letter with it, or lettera with la because it's feminine. So there's your direct object. A direct object pronoun with an indirect object noun, Pietro. La manderò a Pietro. Now, if we want to replace Pietro with a pronoun, we have gliela manderò, because the indirect object pronoun for Pietro would have been li, but since we already have la in the sentence, the direct object pronoun, that means we're going to be using a double object pronoun. So li becomes lié and attached directly to the direct object pronoun. So we have gliela manderò. I will send it to him. Let's look at another example. Racconti la storia ai bambini. Tell the story to the children. Okay, let's start off by looking at the sentence real quick. Story being the direct object. Tell the story. And to the children. The children are the indirect object. Let's replace the direct first. Racconti ai bambini. Tell it to the children. La being it, or the direct object pronoun, because la storia is feminine. Racconti ai bambini. Now let's replace the indirect object, the children, with an indirect object pronoun. And we have gliela racconti. So tell it to them. Li being them, we add the a because it's a double object pronoun. We combine them again and we have gliela racconti. Now you'll notice that we have gliela manderò. I'll send it to him. So gliela is him, it. But gliela in the other sentence, gliela racconti, is them, it. I just point this out that when you're going to start using the double object pronouns, you want to make sure it's very clear what your antecedent is, or you will create some confusion in the sentence, just as is true in English. Okay, here's a few more examples. Glielo comprerò. I will buy it for him. Glielo being him, it, and comprerò, I'll buy. Me li mandi, send them to me. Me being me, li being them, and mandi being send, you send. Me li mandi, send them to me. Te la dirò, I will tell it to you. Te being you, la being it, dirò, I will tell. Ve lo mostriamo, we show it to you all. Ve being y'all, or you plural. Lo being it, mostriamo being show, we show. Glielo suggerisce, he suggested to her. Glie being her, lo being it, suggerisce being suggest. Now let's look at a couple of instances when a double object pronoun is being attached to the end of an infinitive. There are many instances where we have infinitive verbs in our phrases, such as when we use modal verbs like volere, dovere, or potere, and also in various subjunctive clauses, where the subject is the same in both clauses. In these cases, the double object pronouns could be attached to the end of the infinitive verb. All you need to do is drop the E from the infinitive verb and add both object pronouns to the end, indirect first, making one word. So what I mean by that is you take the, well, let's look at the formula. Okay, the infinitive verb minus E, okay, plus the indirect object pronoun plus the direct object pronoun. So our example is dare minus E equals dar, plus ce equals darce, plus lo equals darcello, or give it to us, because dare is to give, minus the E, dar, still to give. Ce, okay, is us, so we have darce, give us, or give to us, plus lo, it, darcello, give to us it, or give it to us. Now let's look at a couple of instances when a double object pronoun is being attached to the end of infinitives. We can actually see this in action. Devi comprarmelo. You have to buy it for me. Devi, you have to comprarmelo. To buy it for me. Posso mandargliela. I can send it to her. Posso being I can. Mandare would be the verb, and we have attached gliela. Posso mandargliela. Or what about vogliono cantarcela? They want to sing it to us. Vogliono, they want. Cantare, to sing. Ce, us. La, it. Vogliono cantarcela. Okay, the third method is attaching it to a conjugated verb. Now, there's only certain instances where we can do this. A double object pronoun is attached to the end of the conjugated verb in the imperative tense or at the end of a gerund. A few quick examples. Dimmela, tell it to me. Di being the imperative of dire, me being me, and la being it. So, dimmela, tell it to me. Or, sto mostrandoglielo. I am showing it to him. Mostrando, sto mostrando being I am showing. You don't drop the O off of the gerund in this case. You leave it right there and you just add the glielo right to the end, it to him. So we have sto mostrandoglielo. One more quick example. Another imperative. Non dargliela. Okay, now, if you remember in your studies the imperative tense, when you use a negative in the second person singular, you simply put a negation before the infinitive of the verb, so it would be non dare. So we have dropped the E as we would at the end of any infinitive verb. Non dargliela. Non dargliela. Don't give it to them. Okay, well, there you have it. Hopefully this helps you in your understanding of the double object pronouns. Remember, you can find more information on this topic, such as exercises, printable homework, crossword puzzles, etc. A myriad of information, all at tavoloitaliano.com, where all of the information on learning Italian is always free. Please feel free to stop by, and in the meantime, parlo italiano. Ciao e grazie.